currently 101 to 1 to take over, which puts you ahead of David Cameron and Nigel Farage.
Yeah, it's good.
But on the same terms as George Osborne. So could we see Prime Minister Chalk?
I think 101. Put your money on it. You'll be absolutely guaranteed to get a great result. No, I mean, who knows? I don't actually have massive aspirations to be Prime Minister. If I'm being boring and blunt about it, there's all sorts of things that I want to achieve in politics. But you can do a great deal on the backbenches. So I'm doing a debate tonight on cyberbullying and adolescent mental health. I'll be contributing to the serious stuff. I'll change the law on stalking, the stuff to do with hospitals and schools. So, you know what, I don't sit there at night thinking, do you know what, I've got to be Prime Minister. It's, you know, I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
What about jobs in the Cabinet? Does anything catch your eye?
Oh, I think it would all be fascinating. Of course, I'd love to do something in the Cabinet. I think it's the question really is there anything that I really wouldn't want to do? But no, I think that would be really fascinating, and I would welcome the chance to serve.
Would you tell us if you were planning on going for any one of those jobs?
Do you know what? I think anybody who sits there and has this kind of carefully thought out plan as to which way they're going, or you know, is a madman. You just got to do your own thing and not obsess too much about where you're going. And genuinely, for my part, the thing that really motivates me is thinking I've taken some ideas, I've taken some campaigns that I'm really passionate about. So I've done the social media and adolescent mental health thing. It's a really important issue. I've made some contribution to it. I've improved a lot of my constituents. If that leads to something, that would be interesting. It would be really fun. I'd love to do it. But don't obsess about it. Don't plan for it, because fate has a way of playing tricks on you in any event. Well, I mean, I was a Remainer, but I'm a pragmatic Remainer. The decision has been made, and although I haven't changed my views, the fact is I'm a Democrat first and foremost. I think we've got to implement this decision. In terms of an ideal scenario, I would like us to preserve all the good stuff, and I think that's the territory upon which moderates need to fight. You know, I want to see high environmental standards. I want to see labour market protections. I want to see the closest possible relationship. This is the stuff that everyone is saying. I mean, the devil, though, is in the detail. We're going to need to see, are we going to be able to secure that as friction-free as possible trade? Are we going to be able to ensure that young people can go and study abroad? Are we going to be able to continue to ensure that we take part in European science projects and space projects and all that kind of stuff? I want to do all that, whilst ensure that we honour the result of the referendum. And that's really what the trade deals are all about. Oh, no.
Yeah. So your options are Emily Thornberry, Arlene Foster and Anna Soubry.
How did I get myself into this? I have to choose.
Yeah.
I'll take them in the order then you say. Snog, marry, avoid.
So snog Emily Thornbury.
Yeah.
Marry Arlene Foster.
Yeah.
And then avoid Anna Soubry.
Yeah.
Why would you avoid Anna?
To be honest, I've taken the complete slopey-shouldered approach here, and I've kept it in the same order that you presented me with it. There's not been a huge amount of intellectual application to that choice, I'm afraid.
No worries.
Well, it's certainly not a safe seat, but in straight answer to your question, and I think if you go back looking at the results as people like me do, it's always been a strong Conservative bloc, and there's also been a strong bloc of people who don't want to vote Conservative, and sometimes that's coalesced around Labour, sometimes it's coalesced around the Liberal Democrats, and I think that's likely to change. It's the kind of place that Cheltenham is, and it's one of the reasons why I find it such a wonderful place to represent. People are free thinkers, they're independent-minded, they're not taken for granted, but they're also very fair. And I think if you work hard and you really try to deliver, you try your best, you try to answer people's questions as directly as you can, and you achieve things, then I think it's possible to develop a measure of support. And who knows what will happen in the future, but all I can do is day to day try to deliver, and I hope, not in modesty, I can point to a lot of concrete achievements, whether it's on securing money for the A417, we talked about schools, we talked about hospitals, schools funding, they're getting a whole lot more, cyber innovation, all sorts of bits and pieces which I hope people think are broadly significant. I'll just carry on doing those things. The interesting thing that I'm picking up in places like Cheltenham is that there is a large band of people, of younger people under the age of 30, who are A, fascinated by politics, and B, aren't falling hook, line, and sinker for this whole narrative, which you sometimes see swamping social media. And in fact, we've got in the local elections a load of young people who are standing proudly as Conservatives. But in terms of what it's designed to achieve, well, the answer is any political party worth its salt wants to deliver for young people. And so much of what gets me up out of bed in the morning is about delivering social mobility, easy to say, harder to do, but it's for young people typically. So one of the reasons why I keep banging on in Cheltenham about a cyber innovation centre is because I want young people, whatever their backgrounds, not to have to go to Bristol or Birmingham or London to achieve that social mobility, to break out of sometimes disadvantaged backgrounds. I want them to be able to do it in Cheltenham. And so that means if you want to be able to continue to do that, you've got to sell that message to young people.
I was talking to one or two members of Activate, and they were saying that one of the issues with the Young Conservatives could be that it's just brewing a selection of canvassers for election time. Do you think that's a fair statement to make?
Well, I don't profess to be the world's greatest expert on Activate. What I can say is that in respect of those young people who are getting involved in Cheltenham, a lot of them want to come out canvassing, and a lot of them are politically ambitious as well. But I think there's room for all sorts of people. For some people, they want to support by delivering a leaflet. Other people, they might want to contribute to a policy forum. Others might want to stand as councillors or members of Parliament. Certainly where I am in my part of the world, it's very much open to people who want to contribute in any way that they want. They can dip in and dip out or get more involved. And it's pretty open and welcoming in my neck of the woods. I don't pretend to be an expert for Activate in all parts of the country.
In terms of Activate, though, they did leave behind, I guess, what could be described as quite a stench when you had the issue with the gassing Chow's comments on the WhatsApp group. I mean, do you think it's then a good idea that Activate are still sort of continuing, or should they sort of, be wafted out and just concentrated on Young Conservatives?
Yeah, so I haven't really seen those comments, so I'd need to see those in context. They sound utterly appalling. But
it was an issue that they had,
right,
and they've tried to sort of distance themselves from that ever since.
Yeah.
But do you not know?
No, I don't know a great deal about that. It sounds absolutely appalling. Look, I mean, and unfortunately, that is beyond unspeakable as a remark. You see there's a certain amount of stuff on social media from all parts of the political spectrum. I can't speak with any authority about that because I haven't seen it in its context. But look, I think as a general point, we should be trying to welcome young people into politics. There needs to be a plurality of debate. I think there is a real concern about some people feeling not brave enough to put their head above the parapet to articulate views that are sometimes perceived to be unfashionable. That's really, really unhealthy, and I think we've got to be so vigilant about freedom of speech. And one of the ways you do that is to ensure that there is a forum for people from all parts of the political spectrum to be able to voice their views and to do so in a respectful and respected way.
James cleverly, he admitted to doing drugs at university. So we were wondering, what is the naughtiest thing you've ever done?
Well, let me just tell you about City University. First of all, I mean, that's where I did my law, I did my postgraduate, so I did an undergraduate elsewhere. But City was fantastic. I had a really, really good time there. It was incredibly hard work, actually, but great university and a happy time there. So naughtiest thing I've ever done? Well, I'm really dull, but drugs was never part of me as a kid, I'm sorry to say. Isn't that boring? I didn't even smoke. Oh, no. So what's the naughtiest thing I've ever done?
Any sort of wild, drunken nights?
Wild, drunken nights. Well, nothing too rock and roll, but I think probably my fair fill of student nights out. But that's particularly in my undergraduate degree. I have to say, when I was at City, it was a nightmare. It was such hard work. We had to do basically 3 years of degree into 9 months on the law degree, and that didn't leave a huge amount of time for hijinks. So I haven't got anything massively exciting to tell you on.